When you are setting up check-in, you have two things at play: setting up the check-in stations and setting up the event. When you create an event, you'll need to create an event, and in the options section, you'll need to enable the check-in system. You'll also need to install the software for devices that you would like to use for a check-in station. I'm currently logged in as a super user. If I select Launch Check-in, it'll take me to a pop-up where I can launch the app, or I can view the article for download links. When I select this option, it takes me to the Help Center and provides me with a list of links to download the software. For Windows and Macintosh computers, you have the link here to install the software. And then for Android, Chromebook, or iOS, you have the link to download the app. I'm currently on a Macintosh computer, so if I'd like to install that on this Macintosh so that I can use this for a check-in device, I just select this option. I'll do that now so you can see the process. Now I can open the app, and it will take me to this screen where I have to type in my account URL. You can see your account URL here. You're going to type in the subdomain. In this scenario, mine is demo, D-E-M-O, then select continue. Here, I can scan a QR code, or I can log in to authorize this computer. I'm just going to put in my username and password since I'm a super user and authorized to set up check-in. Then I'm going to name the station and then configure some of the other settings. Search type, I'll choose text. And if I'm printing labels, I can decide which station will print the labels. Next, I'll choose my theme and decide if I want to show the keyboard or not. Then select authorize. At this point, I'm ready to use this station as a check-in kiosk. In this scenario, there is already an event occurring. The system recognizes that and then allows me to start using the system as a check-in station. You can see here I've selected Evelyn to check in, indicating how many labels I'd like to print. If I need to make a change, I can do that here. Then I can also finish and print. Now let's look at a scenario where you come to a computer that has the software pre-installed, or you are using a tablet or mobile device as a check-in. When I open the software, I'm first brought to this screen. Here, I need to type in the URL of my OneChurch software account. Then I select Continue. Here, I'm given the screen where I can scan a QR code to complete the process, or I can select Login here to authorize. This is the preferred option, to log in here to authorize. However, in the scenario where you are walking around the church campus, setting up various check-in stations, you can also scan the QR code. Let's take a look at what this will look like. Scan the QR code. Then you will need to log into the software. After that, it will take you to this pop-up where you can configure the check-in station. Let's view this experience from a mobile device. From the App Store, search for OneChurch Check-in and install the app. Now when you open the app, you are again presented with the screen where you need to type in the subdomain of your OneChurch software account. Then you'll come to this screen where you can scan the QR code or log in to authenticate. After you log in, you can configure this check-in station. Provide a name. In this scenario, I'm going to put phone search. And then you can decide to print either from this station or from another station. Decide the theme. And now I'll authorize this device. You see here that it asks permission to use the camera. If you want to use your mobile device to scan QR codes or barcodes to check people in, then you need to give the system access to use the camera native to your mobile device. Now let's go back into the check-in system. From here we also see along the top 3 tabs. The first, Stations, which we use to see all of our stations that are set up as check-in stations. The second is labels. This is where we add labels that we want to have printed when someone checks in. And then themes. This is where you can go to configure your themes. We need to create an event that allows for check-ins. Let's select calendar. And then let's create an event here on Tuesday. I can do that by selecting within this date, hitting this add new button, call this test event. I've configured some of the other elements of the event, giving it the start date and time. Now I select this options button and select enable check-in system. Select save. At this point, the event is set up for check-in. Now, if I go into the event and I select attendance, I'm able to see the individuals that I checked in. This is the simplest way to set up a check-in system, but you may want to check people into the event and also into groups at the same time. Let's say on a Sunday morning, you are checking people into your Sunday morning service, but you are also checking them into specific classes. You can do this by adding a session. The way that you add a session is you select this settings button and then you add a session. I need to quickly pause and highlight something. I mentioned earlier about labels that you can set up in the system. Even though you have the labels set up under events, check-in, labels, these labels here that you've added to the system, a label will not print until you indicate that you want a label printed for the event. So let me go back into that event. We see under attendance and settings, here's the session that you can add. And then here is a way to assign labels. If you select this plus button, you can choose from the drop down which label that you would like to have assigned that will get printed when someone checks in. So we can select this first option here, the default name label. Also have some further configuration that can be done indicating who should receive this label. And you can add multiple labels. If you want to make a modification, you can also remove these. Okay, now let's get back to creating a session. Now, before we go into this, you need to make sure that your groups are set up in a way which would allow guests to check into the group. So here I have a first and second grade. If I select this and then select Actions, Edit Group, and I look at this Options tab, I have this option here that says Admins Only. And then the note at the bottom says, if yes, only admins to this group will be able to add new people to the roster. If no, new people can be added from a manual check-in within an event as well. And I have it selected as no because in this scenario, I want guests to be able to check into the event and also to the class. So let me cancel off of this and we'll actually go into events, select calendar, and I'm going to take this other event here, Tuesdays, and I'm going to configure this event to allow individuals to check in both to a specific group and also for this Tuesday's event. So I'm going to go into attendance and I'm going to select settings and then I'm going to add a session. At this point, I can label the session. I also have some options here which will allow me to configure this station with greater detail. The default options are recommended, and then I can go ahead and select the category that I have these groups, select the groups where I'm checking individuals in, and then select save. And at this point, I am checking people into this event and then also into their groups. If I check attendance and then logs, we can see that Mary Kelly and that Evelyn have checked in to the group. Now to see other data as it relates to check-ins, we can select this check-in button and we can see that Evelyn has checked in, as has Mary, and which group they've checked into. I can also select this reports button and it will show me the number of people in aggregate who have checked in to each group, as well as the total attendance for the event itself.